All right. So welcome back. So I wanted to do something special as a warm up today. Uh, I like to do something special for the warm ups. For those that are early. You know, um, and of course those that will watch replay later on, they also get to catch this moment. Okay. So I want to ask you a question if you're watching this live, okay? I want to ask you a question. Me too, I'll consider answering it, but particularly the ladies, okay? I want the ladies to answer this, okay? And it's a question for you. And also, if you're watching this as a replay later on, I do want you to try your best to answer it. The reality is that we're in a very, very rough place. Let's talk about the best marriage advice for a woman, right? What would be the best advice? Hello, Paula. How are you, Paula? Good to see you. What would be the best advice you would give a woman when it comes to marriage? The floor is open. It's all yours, okay? What would be the best advice that you would offer a woman? I want the ladies to go. If you're a man in the background, I guess you could feel free to chime in, but really it's for the ladies, okay? What would be your best advice personally, especially if you have some kind of experience? What would be your number one advice, particularly for a woman? I'm waiting. And I'm also going to be reading the comments for those that will watch replay later on. I just want to know what your thoughts are. Yesterday we covered that story on that young lady that gave a bunch of advice. About she gave advice about like modesty. Forget that modesty thing, right? It's all transactional, so it should be transactional as well. Maybe actually I should replay it again, make it stand alone. You guys remember from the show from yesterday? There's a woman on TikTok. I'm gonna play it right now. Let's just use that to warm up, because there's a lot of things that she said, but a lot of people were relating with what she was saying, and I can't claim that I'm surprised. I'm not exactly surprised. There's been a lot of advice for women lately when it comes to marriage, and I get it. Everybody has some kind of advice, one or two advice here and there, right? So I'm gonna play the video again, but I want you to think about it, and think about it, and I want to hear your own advice for. Let's take you back to when you were 17 years old. You would be thinking about, maybe boyfriends and stuff. I don't know, but a few years down the line, it catches up very, very quickly, right? So, and that's why I wanted to ask you, what would be the advice you would that you would give yourself at 17 when it comes to marriage as a woman? That's what I want to know. All right, but let me play this video shortly, really quickly. Let's just use this to warm up. Please, as you're coming in, hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up the notifications. All right, this is what she said yesterday. Oh, sorry, let me.
You are the one who is looking for.
I'll start from the beginning again.
You see these two couples here? All I see is transactional 101. You are the one who is looking for love. You are the one who is looking for somebody that will marry you for who you are. Men are not built like that. I have told you people, stop watching Nollywood, stop watching Bollywood.
I like that.
You will not hear. You think it's all about modesty? You did not see the powerful women. Your eyes will clear. Modesty without wealth is what? Poverty. Modesty without education is what? Poverty. No man is going for your filthy modesty if you cannot offer anything. Are you there? Men have been standing on business from time immemorial. It's not going to stop today. Marriage for young men is much more than modesty and love. You got to support. You got to bring something to the table. If you cannot bring something to the table, your family has to bring something to the table, or your passport has to bring something to the table. Hey, somebody say amen. This particular move is common among young men who are trying to start a family. They are not going to go for your praying warrior ass if your family is not well to do, or if you yourself, you are not like a PhD or BSc holder. You see this Moses case now, dual citizenship don't show for them. At least you're not going to carry Nigerian passport worker. And our brother, at the other hand, I'm very sure that his wife is also a dual citizen. What happened? 2 + 2 is equal to 4. Oh, it's because they do. Shut up. See, when it comes to marriage, men only involve themselves in transactional relationship. You are the one that is looking for love. Who sent your daddy? Wake up, come off it. I just pray, say, make Kunle no mess up. Because connection don't dig ground. Financial support is sure. Oh, modest girls are winning now. Are you from a wealthy family? No. Do you have a dual citizenship? No. Are you highly educated? No. So you do not have these 3 qualities.
Welcome, D-Love.
For somebody like Moses Bliss. You are looking for somebody like Kunle.
Jesus.
The thing is about modesty is much more than modesty. Oh, I can never be with a man who asks me what I bring to the table. You do not need to ask these females, these their wives, what they bring to the table, because it's obvious what they can offer at the table. And most importantly, to
not
the
the
men
table.
who are feeling pompous and feeling special, that, oh yeah, modesty, come here. Are you aware that you can never be in a relationship with this kind of women and still be the head? Only possible. Oh, my worship one. Tori, oh, miss out. You don't want to lose. You don't want to fuck up. All those behavior of you calling your woman, where are you? Come on, bring my kids home. I don't want to see my kids outside.
Okay, now she's giving advice to
These are
men.
not the kind of women you can try that nonsense with. I think enough is a word for the wise, or a word is enough for the wise. Pick your own and do what you like with the information. Thank you. You see these 2 couples.
All right, so I guess our advice is to never settle for less, or I guess add value to yourself. You know, we can't really we can't hate on that overall advice that she gave, but the poison there is the transactional thing, and it's not about love. All those are very small poison that are much more powerful than 80% of the content that she gave. But you know, work on yourself. Would that be a number 1 advice for women? You know, it's a good advice. You know, I'm not sure if that's the number 1 advice though. You know. But let me read this. Chia says, if marriage is strictly transactional, it is not sustainable at all. What if all of a sudden, wherever you're bringing to the table is no longer available because life happened? Exactly. And that is inevitable. Something is going to happen. And whatever you brought to the table in the beginning, there's going to be more required of you. More of the internal stuff is going to be required of you as time goes on. The further you go into the future, the more you're going to be required of something more internal and nothing aesthetic or materialistic in, you know, or status. All that stuff is they can only last for so long, you know. But I see Mo Fresh also gave some here. Mo Fresh says, so someone you see or someone you see yourself able to key into his plans. Okay, I like that. I actually like that very much when you said into his plans. In this Indomie generation world, people have a hard time really comprehending that, because it's almost like you're telling a woman to become a subordinate to a man. And honestly, it's none of that. It's just the way things work. It's your best point of leverage to become great and greater and greater. That's just how we're set up, right? So I like that, to key into his plans part. But I like when you say someone you see yourself being able to key into his plans. Someone who has your best interest at heart. Because as a woman, it's only easy to submit to a man who puts you first. Now, that second part where you say somebody who has your best interest at heart, most people are in the beginning thinking they're getting with somebody who they feel has their best interest at heart. But you know, people's true colors show up over time, right? And then I'm also looking at let me see, even rat and cockroach is giving advice, and this small poison that will pollute every damn good thing she said. So it's rubbish 80% of the good things. Yeah, exactly. And you're going to see a lot more advices like that coming on social media, and you want to be very, very careful. And that 80% will make absolute sense. Like, you will see everybody agreeing, and you will even have a hard time disagreeing, because you're like, well, I don't, you don't want to disagree with everybody else, right? Well, it might not be a bad idea to disagree with everybody else. If everybody else are creating bad results, maybe it's not exactly a bad idea to disagree with them, right? So everything she said are facts in terms of what people are doing. They are going into relationships with that transactional mindset. Well, majority of them are either ending up in divorce, or they're ending up in a situation where they have to manage for the rest of their life. They are enduring, right? So is it really working? No, it's not, right? Even though she tried to claim like it's men that are wired that way, there's a place for that conversation of men being wired in a transactional way. Men are calculative in terms of, they're thinking more so, like, what's in it for me? That's actually every human being. But there's a mindset, but there's also, you actually try to act that out in every action, right? So ultimately, it's a terrible advice. Someone has finally said it. You see a whole man here. It says someone has finally said it. Okay. And her name is Rachel. She said, thank you, sir. She probably really just enjoyed. I'm so sorry, Rachel. I know you enjoyed this viral moment, but nah. Somebody said Tiwi is related to Otedola. Make everybody just they play. No. And somebody asked, Gorex asked a question here, and I've seen a few very wise people also ask the question, like, just because you're related to a rich person doesn't mean you're rich, by the way. So points end up in the poto discombobulated. The someone said the rich attract the rich. Una think say na Sister Amaka from Imo State he for marry. Yeah, it's not relevant to what creates successful. I'm not sure if she's giving advice exactly. I guess it's kind of an advice, but it's whatever, man. But what we're looking for here is, what is the number one best advice? What's the number one best marriage advice for women, right? So marriage, so let's just assume you're inside marriage, or you plan to be inside of marriage. Is what we're looking for. And we also add this auntie, basketball
marry
smart.
a kind.
Remember basketball's wife, right? She said marry a kind man, right? That was her advice. Let's try it again.
Marry a kind man, because when you do, if and when he decides to cheat, unfortunately, he knows to consider you.
All right, so this was another one. We covered this in detail in other videos. You can go find them. Just search for Basket Mouth on our page, you'll find it. But she said marry a kind man. I wish she had ended it right there, right? Also, the other sister, the other auntie, I wish she had ended it at work better on yourself. I don't know what you bring to the table, just make sure you adding value to yourself. If she can end it right there, but everything else is like, but that's how she felt. And literally millions of people feel the same way. Okay, it's no wonder. Anyway, I agree. So then this brother kind of addressed it and said, hey, what you focus on expands. He said it some type of way. Let me just play it,
In the sense that while he's doing his shit, he will never let you find out, because he knows that it will hurt you. He will never disrespect you. He will never put you in a situation or situations where you are constantly humiliated or embarrassed.
Now, in case you don't know, this is Basket Mouth's ex-wife. And in this video, I think she was trying to give a clue of what really happened in their marriage. But there was something that she said here that really caught my attention. A good man, even when he's cheating, will not allow you to find out. He will not allow you to know and all that. Now, women, I just want to ask a very simple question. Have we now settled with the fact that our husbands can cheat? That there is nothing wrong with a man cheating as long as he doesn't let us find out? Is this something that we have now given consent to and that we are now okay with it? I just want to know, because one thing that I have said continuously is that somehow what you build your mind upon gradually becomes your reality. Whatever it is that you permit or you are satisfied and comfortable with gradually becomes what now begins to happen to you in reality. I know many people will come to my comment section and say you cannot stop a man from cheating, a man will always cheat. But
there you have it. What you decide to focus on becomes your reality. Those are absolute facts. I rarely ever use the word absolute to make a factual, what I claim to be a factual. I don't even like doing that. But those are absolute facts. What you focus on ends up becoming your reality. Another way that I usually say that is that what you fear the most, you attract what you fear the most, right? So, I think that's a good advice. Is that the number one advice? So again, now we have how many? 3, right? We have add value to yourself, right? With a little source of transactional, right? And then we also have what's the second one? Marry a kind man, but then she had it on just in case he decides to cheat. I was like, why would you do that? Anyway, and then this gentleman is saying, like, listen, what you decide to focus on will expand. And the additional context I will add on to this is that it's tough to not focus on your negative experiences if that's what has taken a stronghold over your brain, your mind, your emotions. It's very hard to not focus on defending, protecting yourself. It's just very hard. And that makes things super even more difficult as time goes on, right? So it's easier said than done to ask people not to focus on the negative experiences they've had. This is why we ask people to heal. Make sure you go through the healing process. If you don't collect a couple of breakfasts, you've already given some breakfast, you need healing, because you will always naturally reflect back on those negative experiences, because clearly it wasn't good. We both decided we should go our own way. We just decided that we should go our own way after because what? Tell us the what. Why were you?
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Okay, you were not running, but who was running? Somebody was running from something, and it's usually for a reason, okay? And either you admit it or not, it's going to rear its ugly head and show up in your next relationship if you don't go through proper healing, okay? So that's another advice there. I think there's another one here that I wanted to play. I'll be saving stuff on TikTok here, and this is another advice here.
My money was my money. My husband's money was our money. Let me tell you one of the biggest battlegrounds.
Money.
Until you settle the money issue, you've not settled your marriage. As long as your money is your money, you will not have peace in that marriage. When we first got married, my money was my money and my husband's money was our money. But my husband has a very keen sense of justice. So when we first got married, I wasn't working. He was the one working. So there was no issue. Then when I got my first job, first paycheck, I said, I just went to VW. I'm buying my car. He said, oh, really? So we got home. He said, is your car? I said, yeah. From what money? I said, from my money. He said, what money is? I said, my salary. He said, hey, is your salary? I was thinking, is that a trick question?
So why, Mini?
Of course it's my money. Who went to the office and worked for this money? He said, we have a very simple way we can work this. Your money can be your money and my money can be my money. Or all the money can be our money. So I thought of it well and I said, this man's money is more than my money.
You get it? If you don't get it, forget about it.
All right. So I guess our advice is that, make sure your money is our money, But like she said, she had a little caveat there, right? That man's money was much larger than our own money. So it's only natural for her to say, let me think about this thing well. Anyway, let me see here. There's a brother here that's going to give us advice here. Let me see what he says. I want to see what you guys think about this.
To all the married men out there right now.
Oh, it's advice for married men.
You are in a sexless marriage. You are in that situation right now where we say You are asking your wife for sex right now for like 6 months. She never give you pomo.
Yes.
You dey beg for 6 months. Now she dey use the pomo, they punish you.
Yeah.
My brother, go and get a side chick. Call me, I have a side chick.
All right, so I guess his advice is that if you don't give that man pomo, somebody's advising them on TikTok to go and get a side chick. That's advice for men. Maybe on the day we cover for men. Let's focus on the ladies for today. There's an advice here. Let me see, by I guess a pastor, some kind of pastor.
I know you people are getting married today. Your emotions are on a rampage. You'll be shocked. After 6 months, after 1 year, you'll discover that even intimacy is responsibility. All these things that demons are whispering to you, hey, hey. When after a few months it will go down, you'll be normal. You will discover that it's not kiss, peck, and hug that will keep his love for 40 years. The only thing that can keep him loving you for 40 years is submission. Because in 40 years' time, your face will not look like this. Even if you put a whole bottle of powder, the face will be sagged. What he will be looking at will not be your face. In 40 years' time, what you'll be looking at is not your chest. In 40 years' time, what he's looking at is not your lap, it's your submission. That's why the Bible said, let the countenance of meekness. There's something on your inside that the older you grow, the brighter it becomes. Your face will fail you. Everything you are looking about your physical feature will fail you with age. Age will make sure of it. And the day we come,
Age will make sure of it.
But the reason your husband will love you more and more 40 years later,
why
is
so
because
harsh?
something sparkles from your inside. It's called submission. And the more you submit, the sweeter
Natty,
the
welcome.
relationship will become. It's a
Marriott,
law
welcome.
of oneness in the spirit. And then when he came to the
And
husband,
Timilade, welcome.
they gave him a law. It's the law of death. He said, as Christ loved the church and gave himself. And so you can buy her flour, which you must. You can talk to her kindly, which you must. But the way the Bible recommends that you should love her is through sacrifice.
No, so it's already given the his own advice. So I don't know if you guys caught his advice. His name, Apostle Michael Orokpo.
I know you people are getting married today. Your emotions are on a rampage. You'll be shocked. After 6 months, after 1 year, you'll discover that even intimacy is responsibility. All these things
So intimacy is responsibility.
that demons are whispering to you, hey, hey. When after a few months it will go down, you'll be normal.
He said demons are the one whispering to you when you're in love. You're like, you're in love. Those are demons.
You will discover that it's not kiss, peck, and hug that will keep his love for 40 years. The only
It's
thing
not kiss, peck, and hug that will keep his love for 40 years.
that can keep him loving you for 40 years is submission. Because in
Submission is the only thing that can keep him loving you for 40 years.
40 years' time, your face will not look like this. Even if you
In 40, because, he didn't put because, but let me help him. He said because in 40 years, your face will not look like this.
put a whole bottle of powder, the face will be sagged. What he will
The
be looking
face
at
will
not
be
your face.
sagged.
In 40 years' time, what you'll be looking at is not your chest. In 40 years' time, what he's looking at is not your
He will
lap.
not be looking at your chest in 40 years. This is advice for this marriage advice. We're looking for the best marriage advice for women, okay? I do have one already. But, let me just go through some of this advice.
Is your submission. That's why the Bible said, let the countenance of meekness. There's something on your inside that the older you grow, the brighter it becomes. Your face will fail you.
Your face will fail you. That thing will just be sagging like this. Right? Jesus.
Everything you are looking about your physical feature will fail you with age. Age will make sure of it.
He said age will make sure of it. Jesus. I don't think human beings really pay attention to how much collection they have for this lifetime, Sha.
Sorry.
He said age will make sure of it. Such a harsh reality.
And the day will come, even powder will become a body. But the reason your husband will love you more and more,
He said a day will come, even powder will become a... Jesus! What about pancake?
years later, is because something sparkles from your inside. It's called submission. And the more you submit, the sweeter your relationship will become. It's a law of oneness in the spirit. And then when it came to the husband, they gave him a law.
Let's hear the husband. Let's
He
just
said,
hear
as
it.
Christ loved the church and gave himself. And so you can buy her flour, which you must. You can talk to her kindly, which you must. But the way the Bible recommends that you should love her is through sacrifice.
Sacrifice.
And the way that Hughes painted it, oh, what a blessing. Before he gave man the one.
All right, so keep in mind, one is sacrifice, one is submission, right? Right? Which one do you think is greater? Which one do you think requires more of you? One is submission, one is sacrifice. Are those the same thing? Are they synonymous? Right? I wonder. But let's keep on. Let's go on.
In the Garden of Eden, he slew the man and the man slept. That means only dead men can be husbands.
He said, damn, another harsh reality. Only dead men can be husbands. I mean, that takes on a whole different lot, like a whole bunch of meanings in my head when he said it. All right, so I never expected it. I did not expect this topic to take on this kind of life. Never expected it. Anyway, so we're talking about the number one best advice for marriage. Number one best marriage advice for women. Right? That's what we're looking. That's what we're searching for. I think I find one. Obviously, there's no one single advice that's going to just carry everything. Obviously not, right? So it is what it is. So there's going to be a couple of advice, especially if you're dealing with Nigerians. Nigerians have advice for days, as you can imagine, right? Yep, they do. Nigerians, they have advice for days. So, but let me see. Hold on. Let me see something here. Where is okay. So we're looking for the number one advice. That's what we're looking for. Let me see here. Interesting. Interesting. Let's see. Okay. All right. So let me see what you guys are saying before I come to what I said. I see that Mario says so much advice, always marriage. Nigerians don't have other things to think about. Listen, marriage is a powerful part of our society. It's basically that one little small container that creates a lot of people's character. So it's very important that we keep talking about it. But more so from a relationship standpoint. People need to learn how to do relationships. Clearly, people are struggling. Mo Fresh says, as Christians, when God requested men to love their wife and women to submit, right? So that love, when we say love, it means sacrifice. So anytime you hear yourself say love is not enough, right? We're talking also about giving. We're talking about something that's synonymous with giving, sacrifice, right? We're talking about something that's synonymous with your idea of God, who doesn't really punish you according to your atrocities. Like he gives so much mercy, right? So much grace, right? Favor, like unmerited favor, like literally uncountable, right? So that's that kind of sacrifice we're talking about. As in, like, you know, if a man comes here now and they start complaining about women, very fast I'll tell him, about, calm down. What's wrong with you? Stop. You sound like a bitch. Stop. Wait, so men can't talk anymore? No, you can't. Shut the hell up. Right? That's actually the nature. And some people say that's not healthy. I say, well, if it's public, it's absolutely healthy for me to tell him to shut up. If we're dealing with a situation where he's asking questions and he's engaging coaching, he's engaging wise counsel, of course we're not going to tell him to shut up. That means in the first place he knows how to go and seek help, right? Which is a very difficult thing for men to do, especially Nigerian men. They think when they have to say I don't know something, that is a problem. And that's not a problem. But of course you have to learn how to read a room. But I digress, right? But sacrifice, submission, I wonder if it's the same thing. That's what I was asking. Not to say it's men we know they give their women momonko. Wala. That's topic for another day. Timilade says this definition of kindness by Basket Wife's wife is heartbreaking. I pray she finds the healing she deserves. Amen. That was given, right? Yeah. That's I couldn't have said that any better, Timilade. It's basically just to pray for her. Absolutely. With all due respect. All they do is preach to women. Ew, pig. I have an idea who you're talking about among all those people, but I'm just gonna guess it's not the last pastor. Let's see. Dilo says, now wow, Nigeria advice with light shade to women always. They can't advise without shaming women. Welcome to the real world. This is the society we live in, unfortunately. Love is of God, not demons. Shake my head. He was talking about in love. In love can be of the demons. And demons is not evil. See, that's Nigerian Christianity stuff. They think demons mean evil, right? Demons does not necessarily mean evil. It just means voices in your head. Oh, you never heard that before. Let me sip on that. TB Joshua followers. Demons is essentially voices in your head. If you disagree, where do you think those voices live? On planet Pluto? It's in your head. Okay? But they are powerful enough to control your life to the extent that you don't even know when to stop with your idol worshiping. Okay? Just in case you don't know. That's the power of demons. It's all in your head, but it's very powerful. Okay? So when you're in love, the reality of in love experience is that it's a beautiful thing. But one of the reasons why it's so beautiful is because it's short term. Right? The one you have in the beginning is short term. All of that will be tested. All of that will literally disappear. 2 years or less. You have to build something a lot more stronger on a stronger foundation. Okay? You have to build what I call the real love. Okay? It's in the book. It's in the Get My Marriage Back book. This is not counseling. This is at their wedding celebration where the wahala. You see, timing. Timing is key. But some of them don't know. I've seen people preach on Father's Day and just started throwing all of the fathers under the bus. Like, wait, it's Father's Day. You're supposed to be celebrating us. Okay? They actually do that more so on Mother's Day. But Father's Day, we kind of already know, like, we're probably going to get socks, But socks and singlet. It's all good. We receive it with love. But a woman can only submit to love. Or submit to, we can use it interchangeably for the sake of this conversation, sacrifice, right? Sacrifice. The man should love his wife first, just as Christ loved the church first. Please, can't expect women to submit to nonsense care. Rada. Go fresh. I can picture your mouth saying rada. Mario say, that is all. We AF suffered. We have suffered. That's what you're getting from this. Chia says sacrifice equals to submission. In so many ways, I think it's essentially, the same thing, especially within the context of marriage. But I can see how some people might argue against that. Sacrifice requires you. Sacrifice is not a function of anything else. Submission is a function of the man, how the man moves. That's just the reality. We're not talking about Bible now. We hello, those in the back, the lame ones. Gentlemen, come forward. Not the lame ones. Gentlemen, come forward. Sorry, come forward. Okay. Submission is a function of how you move. She does not decide submission. You decide submission. But you also decide sacrifice. You decide sacrifice. You decide submission. She does the submission, but it's actually you that decides it, depending on how you move. Sacrifice, you decide that as well. Men have suffered so much on a man's shoulder. This is why they are buying left and right. You don't let them rest. I know. I'm sorry. What would you rather be, a woman? I'm sorry. Okay, now there are tools, there are skill sets you can learn to make it a lot more easier for you. Okay, and you might be able to tap into the advice, the number one advice I will give the ladies today. It might actually help you. Evil voices in the head are demons. So Oyibo people have all kind of specialty names for them too. They come in all kind of shapes and forms. Some of them, you see them on the streets in Nigeria, naked, walking around. And you say, somebody did something to them. Like, yeah, sure, I'm sure somebody did something to them. But they also have sickness of the head. Socks and singlet. Did I lie? I did not lie now. I did not lie. Yes, the one at the back. Yeah, so The number one advice, there's so many advice. If you listen to many of the advices that you've heard today, I think the best of all of them is still it's still like none of those advice. If there was a number one advice, like all of those advice are good, and I don't think the pastor was putting in any direct order, right? They realize the truth is that when a man is sacrificing for his family and he moves like a man, right, he will not struggle with submission, and he will not tolerate anybody who is not really aligning with his program, and it's not going to have to say it. It's just be obvious, you know. If he has to say it, then he's clearly tolerating it. Having to say, I need submission, you're tolerating lack of submission, and you clearly don't deserve that submission. And there's about 5,000 other facts that I really want to put to that, and all of them are your fault. But I'll leave it alone. This advice is not for men, it's for women, okay? You know, a lot of people, the woke ones might want to talk about things like communication, mutual respect, shared goals, quality time, independent, right? Independence, patience, and forgiveness, teamwork makes the dream work, partnership. I want a partner, right? Listen, the reality is that you do have a partner already if you're married. The question is that a good partner or not? Do you have a partner who knows what they're doing or not? If you have a bad partner, that is your partner. Just like I'll tell you have a bad wife who is just evil. That's your evil wife. Same thing. I'm sorry, but you need to acknowledge that first, and then we can see if we can fix it. You know, there's a lot of advice you can get out there, but I think the number one advice is to take care of yourself. Okay. The number one advice. So again, man, you can borrow from that too. You deserve self-love too, or soft-life. Okay. The number one advice, marriage advice for women, is to take care of themselves. They often forget to take care of themselves. When I'm talking about taking care of yourself, I'm not talking about the Gucci shoes. I'm not talking about what kind of bag what bag are you using these days? Coach bag, Vladimir bag, whatever bags you're using these days. I'm not talking about any of that stuff, right? I'm talking about take care of yourself emotionally, mentally. Okay? Take care of yourself emotionally and mentally. If you do that, okay, I think everything else tend to fall accordingly in line. Everything else become a lot more easier. Okay? And also, you probably that doesn't have to cross lines with tolerance. There's tolerance, there's low levels of tolerance, there's also taking care of yourself, right? Just because you're taking care of yourself does not mean you're tolerating nonsense, does not mean you're not able to tolerate giving some grace. That's it actually make it super easier for you to give some grace when you take care of yourself. You have enough to give when you take care of yourself. Self-love, okay? So if you notice, in anything I talk about here, we're always talking about relationship. That's what we're always looking for, right? But what is the first on this list, right? What's the first on that list? Gentlemen, borrow from this. This is also true for you, okay? Marriage is a function of the people in it. If you have a marriage with a bunch of with two trash people, or at least one trash person, the marriage will be trash. Okay, so can you guys retype that back in the comments? What is the number one? What's the best advice? What's the best marriage advice for women? Can you retype into the chat? Let me make sure you guys are hearing me. What is the number one best marriage advice for women? In the chat. Let me see. There has to be partnership in order to submit. Some men cannot process that. They feel like it has to be separate. Yeah. But this advice is for you ladies. Keep that in mind. This is for you. This is something you need to do. All right. You need to do it while you're single. You need to do it when you're married. You need to do it if you are already divorced. If you are divorced, you might be, if it's fresh, you might be confused even with this. Some people might tell you you're divorced because you're selfish, and you're like, but self-love, and they're like, discombobulated ideas everywhere. The key thing here is that nobody really wants you if you're not taking care of yourself. That's the fact. And this is true across the board, but particularly for you ladies that care about marriage and you want to do it properly, if you take care of yourself and you always lead with that, you will have enough to give. Thank you, MoFresh. MoFresh is the only one listening in real time. Take care of yourself. All right. And self-esteem, whatever you're doing to take care of yourself, make sure that self-esteem is a product of that. There's a lot of people taking care of themselves, and the self-esteem is getting shot and shot and shot and shot. It's getting worse and worse by the day. And the more they buy, the more they do retail therapy, the worse it gets. If the product of your idea of taking care of yourself is lower and lower self-esteem, you need to check that. That's going to backfire. It's going to get worse and worse. It's a vicious cycle. Okay? It's a vicious cycle. All right, so that's my number one advice. Everything else can follow. You can give all the advice you want. Add some value to yourself. I guess that's the closest. Add some value to yourself, except with the transactional stuff. Just because you're taking care of yourself does not mean you don't value the idea of giving. In fact, that's when you start to value, because you have enough to give to other people, right? You're not obsessed with give and take, because you don't really need anybody like that. You're just with other people just because, right? Just because. A larger purpose than life, legacy, family, right? You're able to carry that weight because you're not really carrying it. You take care of the vessel first, mentally, emotionally, and of course physically. Okay? Of course physically. All right? So Chinye says self-esteem is everything. I don't trust Chinye. She's probably listening about 20 minutes behind. I was talking to my 12-year-old son about self-esteem the other day. Okay, I think she's listening. Let me see. What did Natsu say? Natsu says, number one marriage advice in women: love and take care of yourself, because a man will mimic how you treat yourself, and you cannot give from an empty cup. Exactly. You can take that to the bank. Okay, let's take that to the bank. And if you're watching this and you've been playing along in the comments too later on, I want to know your thoughts around this. If you think prayer is the master key, that's number one marriage, I'm not hating on you. I'm with you too. Okay, either one. But just share your own comments in the comment, in terms of if you're watching this as a replay later on, and then we'll talk more about it as time goes on. But I think this was a much needed session, because I think a lot of people struggle with this, and a lot of people also, it's not always obvious. That pastor talked about responsibility. He talks about responsibility, and intimacy becomes a responsibility. When you take care of yourself, you actually you want to have sex more. Listen to this. Oh my God, somebody did not hear that. Those of you in the back, if you take care of yourself, the chances that you will want to have more sex will increase dramatically. Okay? Dramatically. Okay? Does that make sense? Please, let's be careful with all the kind of stuff you're listening to out there. Okay, we don't all have it, but this one, okay, this one right here is number one. Okay, but we'll continue to learn. We'll see how much we can learn more. All right, I'll see you in about 20 seconds.
It's your love that I've been missing. I miss all your hugs, your touching and kissing. Me love on the floor, the couch in the kitchen. One love enough, we done enough.